What are some things you always think about when you're trying to come in on the first day of a conference for a video shoot?
How are things going to look? What are places that we can actually shoot in? Location's huge and noise is huge. Especially conferences, people always tend to congregate into specific spots. Always have to look where those are going to be. It's tough to do when before the conference actually starts up, but you try to find those spots and you try to find out spots that are going to be really well lit and the ceilings aren't too low because you do bring your own lights in. So this is our setup. We have a 4-day conference shoot, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got about a half day on Sunday, a half day on Wednesday, and 2 full days, Monday and Tuesday. So lots of different moving parts, but really we're in a hotel convention center. Wide open, huge conference, to be honest with you. And if you spin around, you can actually see the size of our setup itself. So pretty basic, step repeat, couple lights. The thing that's really interesting, it's a great space because we kind of have it all to ourselves, but we have a couple of challenges. 1, noise, 2, light. First, light. If you actually look right here, we have quite a few windows that we're going to be battling up against. So that's not that big of a deal because the interviews themselves are really only going to be about 10-15 minutes long, so that's not that big of a problem. What is going to be an issue is the noise factor. Ambient noise at a conference is always perfectly fine. However, when you're going up against things like cheering or loud, say a blender going off or something like that, something that just doesn't seem to fit, that's when it becomes a problem, especially with interviews. So we're going to take you to show you exactly where the problem could be occurring from. Come take me to me. So behind our wall is a bar, which is fine. Usually it's not a problem, but we're in Boston. The Celtics are playing right now. So what we're going to do is, while we do have our setup, we're going to try to test the waters a little bit to see how it works, but we're also going to go take a peek and look for some other spots that we might be able to film it that might be a little quieter, but still have a great backdrop. Always tough to do when you're at a hotel, especially when it's a conference and people are coming and going. We're going to try to make it work. So this is one of the spots. Again, you can hear it all above me. There's a bar right next to us too, so that's obviously going to get pretty loud. But as far as backdrops are concerned, it looks great. Something huge that really pops in the background, especially if you put it a little out of focus, look awesome.
So when you're at a conference and you need to get a ton of interviews, which is the case at this event that we're at right now, one of the really important things to do is to try to be as versatile as possible, which means in some cases setting up a set that you're going to be able to reuse kind of time and time again, which is kind of what we have here. So we have this step and repeat, which we're not using it for everything. We're mixing it up. We're going to be doing interviews all over the entire show floor, but here specifically we have this set up so even within this one set we have 2 cameras, so we're going to be able to cut to different angles, and we're shifting interview to interview so that we're right framing and left framing somebody, just so that we basically have 4 different shots to cut between, even when we're only on this step and repeat. So between that and the B-roll and the other angles we have, we're really trying to make the most of this conference and take what can become an otherwise kind of dull situation and make it a little bit better. And on top of that, there's a few really simple things that we're doing to make sure that it also looks good. We have, you know, a three light kit, LED lights that we can adjust throughout the course of the day based on kind of the way the daylight is going too, so they're variable color temperature, which is really helpful when you have mixed light, which we often do and we definitely do today. And that just really helps make sure everything's consistent and it looks good throughout. And yeah, allows us to really make the most of this, which is what we need to do when you're at a conference for 4 days. You have to make sure that you keep it fresh and you keep it looking consistent and clean, and that's what we're trying to do.
So at conferences, you always have booths, and if you're in a convention center, like big ceilings that are like 50 feet tall, it's never really an issue. However, in some, these are really only about 8-foot ceilings, so that gives fluorescent lights, different kinds of lights that's bouncing back on top of you, so you always need to make sure, I mean, like right here, you'd probably see it on my face, the different shadows one way or the other. So what that ends up meaning, you definitely have to travel with your own lights if you're going to do stuff in front of a booth, but you also have to worry about people walking, so you can't bring a ton of lights. That's the way it works. So the other thing when it comes to lights and conferences is the fact that you get a lot of different types of lights. So just here alone, you can see you've got the can lights in the ceiling, and also the basic fluorescents, and then just in the other room, you've got some pretty bright white LEDs. So if you've got someone moving from room to room, if you're trying to, balance on the fly, it makes it tough because all of a sudden my face looks well lit now, totally different shades and different colors. So it's very tough when you've got low lights, low ceilings, and different types of lights, especially in such close quarters.